All right, and welcome back to episode 8 of the Union campaign on legendary difficulty. This is the Rendezvous battle. This battle can be a little bit tricky, but it's not too bad if you have some good strats. We only purchased some 24 pounders to finish up our second division brigade of 24 pounders. Put it in a point in a economy. We're going to take economy to 9, and then after the last battle in this series of 3 side battles, we're going to put that last point into army organization to get our first corps to 20 units. I'm just showing here, these are the weapons that I'm going to be purchasing next turn, and we're going to have plenty of money to purchase them all and actually have some left. It's not a terrible idea to go into Gaines Mill with some money still in the bank, as you only have one battle to sort of buy everything in the armory for that one because you don't have any side battles. If you don't know the way the armory works, is it sort of resets after every grand battle, so that battle is one where you need kind of some saved up money if you want to buy all the good weapons. So I'm going to fast forward this, as this is just kind of moving our troops around. But we're going to run over here to this corner and we're going to ambush some of his skirmishers as they join. Skirmishers are one of the more annoying units to deal with, so we're going to jump them, take care of them early, and then our reinforcements actually join from this side. You're allowed to bring 9 units into this one. I opt to bring 2 24 pounders, a sniper, and the rest infantry. I think that's a good mix. I used to only bring 1 24 pounder, but I think the second one sort of gives you flexibility. So you can see here, we just have our units lined up and we're trying to escort these skirmisher units into the corner of the map where we can finish them off. And their AI, where they try to skirmish away from enemy units, is going to kind of force them in a direction. So they're going to get 2 shots off there, but that's pretty much all they're going to get as, there's third I suppose, as they're going to start routing here fairly shortly, and after that they're pretty much done for. This is one of those strange battles where the enemy doesn't bring artillery, he only brings these few assorted skirmishers, and after that all he has is a lot of infantry, and he actually has lower numbers than you. Additionally, you don't need to hold the flag, like right now the enemy has already capped the flag. Even when the timer counts down, if the enemy holds the flag, you can still continue playing this battle. So all things considered, not one of the harder battles, just one that we want to make sure we get a good result on. The enemy likes to hang out in the woods that are a little bit north of the flag over there. You can see there, I think maybe he had vision of my supply wagon over here, so he comes in and tries to steal that, but thinks better of it once he gets closer. Kind of an interesting idea there. Maybe in future runs we could convince him to go into the water there, but our troops are kind of busy at the moment, so maybe it wouldn't actually be that great. In any case, the main goal is we're going to try to attack those troops which are hiding in the woods and push them out of their defensive position and into encirclement. I think this battle turns out okay. I think in future battles, however, we could do a better job of pushing them into a more favorable encirclement. Initially, I think here that I'm going to do my typical strat of pushing these troops back to this wood line here and sort of moving from southeast to northwest across the map. But I was looking at the terrain as I was kind of thinking about this battle, and there's a really nice wood line over to the western side of the map, and the enemy doesn't like to put a lot of troops there. So I thought it might make sense. I sort of start redirecting my troops here, and I'm going to speed this up again as this is going to be a lot of maneuvering in this initial part of this battle. I think, why don't I actually move a good chunk of my forces over there and have them kind of instead move southwest to northeast to a degree and try to push the enemy there, as one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to actually engage the enemy when he's in cover and our troops are out in the open. And that's really easy to do when you're approaching this wood line from the east. Sometimes you can get some good shots in there with the skirmisher unit. Sometimes that also forces them to charge. I go ahead and opt to just move the skirmisher over here, as there's oftentimes an infantry unit here. But again, the AI isn't playing nice, decides not to send any infantry over to the side of the battle, so the skirmisher's kind of going to uselessly walk around. In past times that I've fought this battle, I've got a lot more value out of this skirmisher unit, but what can you do? The AI isn't always as cooperative as we'd like. So here are my reinforcements. They're coming in. I'm going to have this unit here take up position across this water line, and he's actually going to basically sit out the battle. This is another mistake I think I made. I think I could have got more use by sending an additional unit over here to the west and crossing that river to the north a little bit earlier. That's not going to make a whole lot of sense right now, but later in the battle you'll kind of see what I mean. So now we're ready to go. We can actually finally start this battle, almost 6 minutes into the video. We're kind of in position. We have 2 troops here in the center that can advance and potentially flank the enemy if they turn the entire army to face this movement from the west. And this is nice. There's this nice clump of woods that I'm going to use here to catch these enemies in their flank. I'm going to have this 24-pounder move up, so this is why I wanted to bring 2, is I wanted to have one in the center and one on this extreme, I suppose, left of my army. I was also hoping that the sniper unit might catch some of the enemies in this tree line that he is defending here in the north, but it doesn't look like he quite has the range or the vision. So again, potentially there could be a more useful location for him, but this is the first time I'm trying this battle using this exact strategy, so there's probably still a lot of room for improvement. Overall though, I think I like the way the strategy plays out. This initial area here that you need to cross is a lot easier to cross because the enemy likes to line up expecting an attack from the area where the flag is. And that means that for the most part you're able to get these 2 units from this tree line in the west over across this road into the tree line in the middle without taking too many casualties. And if they address them like they are now, it means they open their flank to this unit that I have set up here. So some variations I think could improve the strategy, but overall I think the root, the heart of the strategy is solid, and I'm looking forward to doing some more innovations with it as I continue playing this campaign. The enemy is pretty passive on this battle, but tends to advance and charge when certain triggers are set. So I think there's also some experimenting to be done to figure out where those triggers are and better exploit the enemy as they try to charge, and you can kind of set up kill zones for them. So I'm advancing this guy here as I'm hoping that he is going to address this unit in the open and maybe potentially charge out at him, giving his flanks to my units that I now have pretty securely in this tree line. Our goal for this point is just to secure a path into this main tree zone so that we don't have to rush into open ground. And sure enough, here he comes. He advances from an angle that I wasn't quite expecting, so I have to actually get this unit that I have here in the center to kind of rush over here, but ultimately it kind of works out as the AI has a little panic attack when he finally stops charging and actually turns away from the unit he was charging. Here we go, we're doing some fallback micro, and he stops charging, and not only does he stop charging, but he doesn't even fire. He turns and tries to address this unit that we have and gives his entire flank to the units right there. And bang, we're able to turn back both these units that were charging. And in the meantime, I'm able to get one of my brigades across the road here and into the enemy's wood line. And that was really our goal. So now that we've achieved that, we can move over this 24-pounder. And now we're in pretty good shape. We've got this nice area where we're getting shots in on this guy, really degrading this enemy. The big danger here is just getting too aggressive, pushing up too rapidly, potentially getting some of your units killed unnecessarily. And the other mistake I feel that I made is I wasn't didn't commit to this western side as much as I should have. I think if I had a third unit here earlier, I could have potentially crossed the Storming River line and potentially cut them off from retreating, as the enemy actually has a decent wood line here. Here, he's charging into this unit here in the center. Unfortunately, my unit on the far right here in the center doesn't have quite the angle, but finally I'm able to turn him just enough and he gets shots in and he routs this guy, which is lucky, as I didn't want to deal with this charge at this point in time. So we're now kind of executing our plan. We're getting troops into this wood line. We're not too upset about exchanging volleys in the woods, as we're not going to take too many casualties, and for the moment it's just pinning the enemy in place so that we can move our forces in other areas around. So I think, as I was saying earlier, if I had this troop, this 2nd A brigade that you can see in the far north there, if I instead had him on the western side of the battle, we potentially could have pushed him out of this defensive spot in the far north. I didn't really recognize it when I was first planning this battle, but that's actually a pretty good defensive position. He's got a farm there, which has good cover. He's got good tree lines, which is good cover. He's even got decent vision protection, as his units aren't very visible and sometimes can't be seen. So it might have been more productive to have a unit across the river, even at this stage in the battle, to dissuade him from retreating in that exact direction, and instead make him retreat perhaps to the northeast slightly, maybe even condensing around that sort of Y in the shallows. Slight areas to improve, but ultimately I think this still works out in favor, and we still have a pretty favorable result. Take an unfortunate volley there as this unit charges out of the woods. Again, this battle has pretty strange little vision, so I actually couldn't see this unit, and so he kind of caught me by surprise there when he charged. I think it also might have been productive to have this 24-pounder here a little bit farther to the right, but needless to say, I think it still works out. He's in a good enough position to do some damage, and I was kind of worried here that he might stop the charge and fire a volley that does damage to my 24-pounder. So I kind of move him up. That stops him from charging when it does, and he's going to fire a volley right to our guy there. That's kind of unfortunate. So 2 big volleys there kind of put a damper on things, but we can live with those as long as we don't have too many more of them. But yeah, I think if we had cleaned up those mistakes and perhaps had a slightly better initial deployment here, we could have even had a better result than we ended up with. But ultimately still happy. 2nd A is, I think, going to end this battle with 0 kills, which is disappointing. I was really expecting him to push and retreat east a little bit harder, especially because I knew I was going to be hitting him from the west. But he instead just went straight north and kind of hung out in that farmhouse area. So kind of a shame, but not too bad. Here we can see all of his units that are in this woodline are now routing, so I'm going to try to move across this river, and you can see sort of the potential downfall of waiting. As long as I did to cross this river, now he has a unit that's retreated over here. That unit is charging. That unit luckily starts routing because my sniper gets some fire into his flank, but kind of a dicey situation there. We don't want to be crossing a shallow with an enemy bearing down us, so I need to get across this shallow as soon as I can. And now I've got the problem of my unit on the right is not in cover. His unit is in cover. That's always what we're trying to avoid. Yeah, so despite this result, I feel this was a little bit sloppy. We could have done a little bit better. Again, I'm still kind of worried that he's going to retreat here to the east. So I even moved the 2nd Brigade over here, and from this point on, they're also basically going to be sitting this battle out, which is kind of a shame. Could have potentially cleaned that up a little bit. And this is when I'm kind of starting to notice, like, oh, he's just focusing on this farmhouse. He's not retreating in the direction I'm anticipating. So I'm going to try to move this 24-pounder up north. I'm going to try to move my 1st Division 24-pounder as close as I can across the river. We do have an artillery advantage. He doesn't have any, so we can use that to our advantage, but we don't want to be too passive here, as he is going to regain morale as his general is still there, and that's going to cause him to move back out of this position and potentially fire volleys into our troops, especially this division in the far north who's now no longer in cover. We don't want to allow him to take too many volleys, so I'm not sure how aggressive I should be. You know, we kind of have him encircled now, so this is the goal, but I'm not sure if being more aggressive here would have resulted in less casualties on my side or more. It's kind of one of those 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, as being more aggressive might have prevented his units from recovering, but might have also left our troops a little bit more in the open. And again, I'm not moving my general up close enough. I need to be more proactive about that, or my units are starting to run out of ammo. I need to have my ammo up here because I don't want him running out of ammo. All these things you kind of have to juggle while fighting these battles, but that's how the game works. You just try to do a little bit better each time. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward from this point forward, as now we have him encircled. It's just a matter of us sort of trying to figure out how to best approach his troops, as he's in decent cover despite the fact that he's surrounded. But basically, we just slowly move on him. His units are really low, so they're not able to stand up to our volleys when they try to charge. They end up retreating pretty quickly. We're also able to hit him in the flanks, regardless of whichever direction he charges. And any direction that he tries to fire, he's ultimately going to be blocking his own troops. So we do take a few more casualties here than we normally do once an enemy is encircled, but that has more to do with where we've encircled him than with the overall position. So here we go. We finally moved him out of this farmhouse. He's down to 2 units. One of them surrenders. The last one goes down. And here we go. Here's our final results. We're pretty happy with this. This is still well above our 10-to-1 threshold we want. All of our units did pretty well. No one took too many losses. Our specialty troops didn't lose any. We got some great promotions. Picked up some good weapons. I mean, we love harps. Those are our favorites. We didn't lose any officers. So all things considered, successful battle. And we're going to move on to the results screen now, which I forgot to record. So here's the results. And thanks everyone for watching. Bye.